Jey Uso going for the trifecta in Vegas, connects this time to the back of Gunther.
Michael, have you got something to say to me?
I'm not the one who tapped out.
Let him go!
Pat, what I'm proposing is this. Pat McAfee versus the Ring General Gunther, one-on-one at Backlash.
Me and Gunther, one-on-one, St. Louis, Backlash. Deal.
This is now a public spectacle.
Another one. Oh, and that one kicked into the spine. Here comes McAfee. Come on, Pat. Come on, Pat. Come on. Bring it. Another one. And that one just dropped McAfee. And Pat.
Oh my God!
Big kick. Gunther's in trouble again. McAfee again with a super kick.
Gunther's wobble. Finish the jump. Oh my God. Oh! Get on it, McAfee. Just end it, Pat. Give up. Dark black piss, and that is over.
It's your winner, the Ring General, Gunther!
Mark my words, they're gonna raw dog my man Gunther with no Vaseline. And that's a real shame. But to better understand this story, I just ask that you subscribe to the channel, give it a thumbs up, and click on the bell. Now, let's get to the content. Gunther's Intercontinental reign, f***ing legendary. 666 goddamn days, the most diabolical of all. He turned a midcard title into a badge of pain, beat the living shit out of everyone they threw at him. Then he steps up, grabs the world heavyweight title, and guess what? Dominates again. Another 259 days of pure violence, precision, and presence. No goofy promos, no forced catchphrases, just a f***ing war machine doing what he does best, wrecking people. And now, ladies and gentlemen, admire, because this is the end of the relevance of this important champion for the company. And the beginning of Gunther's downfall has a first and last name, Jey Uso, that was in a lot of ways the three-part slow death of Gunther's credibility. The man defended his title against Jey not once, not twice, but 3 f***ing times. And each time they chipped away a little more of what made Gunther Gunther. And why do I say this? Because in retrospect, today, these 3 victories have lost a lot of value. Because in the end, it seems like they were just building Jey Uso's story of overcoming, nothing more. By the time WrestleMania rolled around, the writing was on the goddamn wall in bold neon letters. He's losing. You could see it coming from a mile away. The cold, ruthless ring general we all feared turned into just another stepping stone in Jey Uso's underdog redemption bullshit arc. And how does he lose? Oh, chef's kiss. They made him eat his own finisher. But okay, nothing lasts forever. At some point, he would lose the title. They could have done it in a more respectful way. Not just a story that focused entirely on the challenger. But okay, how do we go from here? Whenever a longtime champion loses, there is only one thing to do. Get the f*** out, disappear, play dead, anything but show up on some WWE show. And why? Very simple. Maintain the image. The public is used to your aura of champion, and now that you lost, that image is brutally weakened, and there is nothing that can be done to recover. You can't just win a match on the next Raw and pretend nothing happened. When Cody Rhodes made the big dog cry at WrestleMania 40, he disappeared for a long time. And now that Cody Rhodes had his crying ass kicked by the GOAT John Cena, he didn't have the courage to show up. And that's the right way to go in these situations. These are big names. They must do important things in this business, and the only way to highlight anything they do in situations of defeat like this is to make them have some big return in a while, when the public has already forgotten a little that they were defeated and will now focus on the future. But what do they do with Gunther? They put him on the next Raw. And to do what? Want his title back? Try to start some other relevant rivalry? No, he's gonna start a pointless rivalry with the commentary team. And why? Because they made comments like he had given up, which he actually did. In other words, WWE itself writes a story where their longtime champion is petty and childish enough to want to beat people up for commentating on his fights. Imagine this guy seeing the comments on the internet. He'd want to go out and beat up a crowd of 14-year-old wankers who'll say infinitely worse things. But we're far from the worst part. After attacking Michael Cole, Pat McAfee goes to defend his co-worker, who is already an elderly gentleman, and ends up getting screwed over nicely, being erased in the middle of everyone. And that's it. We have a fight. The former world champion, who just lost his belt, is gonna fight the fucking commentator of the event. And before you come and bother me saying that the fight was good in the end, okay, I agree with you, but it's not the result of that fight or how it was developed, it's what that fight means. This match wasn't just predictable, it was insultingly obvious. WWE didn't book this shit thinking, let's rebuild Gunther. No, they booked it like they were trying to film Rocky VI Commentary Edition. Pat McAfee was never meant to win. He was there to be the brave little underdog, the man with no real shot, stepping into the lion's den to prove he's got balls the size of grapefruits. And sure, he lost, but he looked valiant, right? That's the fucking point. It's the classic he earned respect bullshit narrative. They weren't building Gunther, they were building Pat fucking McAfee. So congrats, WWE. Pat gets to be Rocky Balboa. But what about Gunther? What the does he get out of this? He beats up a commentator. Great. And not even in dominant fashion. No. They made it competitive against a guy who spent more time on podcasts than in the ring. Like, are you kidding me? Gunther just spent over 900 days combined as champion, breaking bodies and legacies, and now he's struggling to take down the dude that is not even a professional wrestler? This can only have one explanation. WWE no longer sees much value in Gunther, and so will not offer him the treatment of other great champions.
Crap.
And look, if you think I'm being dramatic, like this is just one storyline, just one feud, let me take you on a stroll through the WWE graveyard. Because this exact kind of shit has happened before. Many times. And every time, it's the same story. Momentum murdered, credibility buried, career never quite the same again. Exhibit A, Bray Wyatt versus John Cena at WrestleMania 30. Bray was on fire, a cult leader with a twisted mind and a following that actually mattered. He had mystique, presence. The dude didn't just cut promos, he preached sermons of chaos. And who do they feed him to? Super Cena. And what does Cena do? He wins, clean, middle of the ring. That was it. No smoke, no mind games, just LOL Cena wins. Bray never recovered from that, not really. They tried to reboot him 12 times after that, and none of them hit the same way the first one did. Because what was on the line wasn't just a match, it was symbolic power. And he lost it in the most half-assed, disrespectful way possible. Exhibit B, Rusev versus Cena at WrestleMania 31. Man, this one still pisses me off. Rusev was a monster, a beast, undefeated. He rolled through people like a Soviet tank with Mother Russia's flag on his back. He literally entered WrestleMania in a f***ing tank. And what does Cena do? Hits an AA, wins, and tells the crowd to clap for America. Rusev went from unstoppable threat to third-act comedy relief in an adultery storyline. Because that's what happens when you bury a character at the peak of their dominance, there's nothing left to build. And that's exactly what they're doing with Gunther right now. Exhibit C, Kevin Owens versus Goldberg. Fastlane 2017. KO was Universal Champion. He wasn't a monster like Gunther, but he was at the peak of his character. A smug, hilarious, manipulative bastard. The chemistry with Jericho was money. The crowd was hot. The timing was perfect. So what do? They have Goldberg squash him in seconds. Seconds. Why? To shove the title into a feud with Brock Lesnar that didn't even need the belt. The result? KO got humiliated, Jericho got sacrificed, and the Universal title became a plastic prop in a feud between two part-timers. Exhibit D, Kofi Kingston versus Brock Lesnar. SmackDown on Fox, 2019. Kofi Mania was magic, emotional. Everyone cried, cheered, lived through that story with him. And then, 8 seconds. F5. Done. Not even a goddamn rematch. Not even one good angry promo. Kofi went back to flipping pancakes like nothing ever f***ing happened. And guess what? He never got anywhere near the main event again. And this is what they're doing to Gunther. They didn't take the title off him to start a new era. They did it to downgrade him. If it had just been the loss, fine. Every champion loses eventually. But no, they chose this narrative. A loss with no dignity. A rushed return focused on a commentator. A competitive match with a guy who isn't even a wrestler. No purpose, no plan, no respect. Gunther should be protected, preserved, built for the next epic chapter. He should be the guy, the unstoppable force in Roman's absence. But instead, they're putting him on the same damn track as Bray, Rusev, Owens, and Kofi. And you know exactly where that track ends. So what now, huh? What the now? Gunther goes from one of the most dominant champions of the modern era to throwing hands with a podcaster? That's the grand vision? That's the master plan? You don't feed your beast to the wolves and then act surprised when there's nothing left but bones. WWE had gold in their hands. They had a killer, a machine, a fucking anomaly. And instead of building a goddamn empire around him, they decided to write a skit. And don't come at me with your, oh, let it play out bullshit. I've seen this movie before. I know how it ends. It ends with Gunther losing heat, losing relevance, and eventually losing airtime. That's the cost of shitty booking. That's what happens when you turn a monster into a fucking meme. So yeah, mark my words. This isn't just a detour. This is the beginning of the end. They're gonna raw dog my man Gunther with no Vaseline. And by the time they're done, he'll be just another what could have been story in a Hall of Fame video package 10 years too late. But hey, Pat McAfee looked brave, right? Fuck out of here. But what about you? Do you think Gunther deserves more attention? Let us know in the comments below. And if you like this video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and share this video with your friends, because this helps our work a lot. That's all for today, folks. See you next time.